I want to ask you guys a question right now and drop a comment for me. What do you think of the Dragon Ball Xenoverse games? Are they good, bad, overrated, underrated, animal, mineral, vegetable? Let us know what you think and hit the like button for me. By clicking that thumbs up, you help support the channel in a huge way. And hopefully this channel even lasts longer than Xenoverse 2. Now, I don't talk a lot about the Xenoverse games on this channel, but my relationship with Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2 is a lot more different than most people's. It's very interesting when I think about it. And you know, with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero coming out soon, or maybe it's even out by the time you watch this video, it made me think about how I viewed previous Dragon Ball games. The Xenoverse games, specifically Xenoverse 2, dominated as the main go-to game on console for Dragon Ball fans throughout the last maybe 10 years or so. Sure, we had other games like Fighters and Kakarot around, but Xenoverse 2, despite being older than those games, gets the most support and has the most longevity and popularity. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I want to first discuss Xenoverse 1. Dragon Ball Xenoverse was a game that I was very much looking forward to. Now, this was a game that came out before Dragon Ball Super was a thing, but here we were introduced to the concept of God Key and characters like Beerus and Whis in Battle of Gods. This was really one of the first games to touch on Battle of Gods because it was still fairly new at the time. The other one is Battle of Z, which I may or may not do a video on at some point, but I just remember being really excited to play as God Goku. And then we got the return of Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Vegeta and Gogeta after they were snubbed from the Raging Blast games, so this was also very exciting for me. But when I think about Xenoverse 1, before it even came out, the things that appealed to me were Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan 4. I thought the gameplay was quite anime accurate and unique for its time, and also the story mode. Because in this game, you are not only playing through the story of Dragon Ball Z, like every other game where it's just non-stop rinse and repeat DBZ, 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 you get the point. This time, our story begins with Time Patrol Trunks wishing upon the Dragon Balls for a powerful ally. And that ally isn't Goku or Vegeta, that ally is you, the player. You get to create your own custom character and design them as you see fit, and you get to choose between Earthling, Saiyan, Namekian, Majin and Frieza race. This was pretty revolutionary and groundbreaking for the time. I know Ultimate Tenkaichi did have a custom character creator as well. I actually did a whole video about Ultimate Tenkaichi. You can check that out as well in the top right corner of the screen. And you know, even this mode in Ultimate Tenkaichi had a hairstyle that Xenoverse did not. So I think that Ultimate Tenkaichi gets a leg up on Xenoverse for that reason alone. And you know, that was one of the reasons why I made a female Saiyan in Xenoverse. But regarding story in both Dragon Ball games, both Dragon Ball Xenoverse games rather, I'm not, you know, gonna go through the entire plot. But basically, you are traveling through time across historical battles in the Dragon Ball universe, and you are making sure that they play out as intended, because some folks are messing up the timelines basically. Online in Xenoverse 1 was a blast. I'm gonna dissect Xenoverse 2 online in a bit, but in terms of online in Xenoverse 1, it was very enjoyable. Unbalanced as hell, but I played it on the PS3 and it had a lot of charm to it. And I played a lot. Also, it actually worked, so that's a billion points there, bonus points. You know, we got some GT DLC, and later Resurrection F DLC when that movie eventually came out. And I think this was the first game to ever include Super Saiyan Blue in it. I might be wrong on that, so you can fact check me in the comments. But overall, I enjoyed Xenoverse 1 a lot. It was a beautiful mess. I loved the customization options. The roster and the gameplay was not bad. I enjoyed the story too as well. This one built the foundation for what was to come. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 took basically everything from Xenoverse 1 and built upon it. Better gameplay, more characters, more customization, more stuff to do, vastly superior in almost every way. It's almost like Xenoverse 1 was the prototype. Because, you know, Xenoverse 1 dropped in 2015 while 2 dropped in 2016. Say what you will about the game now, how it keeps going on and on and on and on and gets milked. Back then, the base game, even without the DLC and updates, was pretty stacked with tons of things to do. And this is where my experience with Xenoverse 2 is gonna differ from a lot of people, because Xenoverse 2 leaned a lot into online play. It leaned more into online play. And when you live in South Africa, like me, where not only is the quality of internet here not very good, but also the accessibility is very scarce. There's not a lot of places with access to Wi-Fi here to this day, and data prices are among the most expensive in the world. And then nowadays on modern consoles you get these giant updates and download files as compared to the previous gen, which wasn't that large. So a lot of people don't get the full enjoyment out of their games here. They don't get to experience things as fully opposed to other parts of the world. Yes, there is a market for online games here, but it's extremely small compared to other parts of the world. It's too costly for most South Africans to be gamers. And that's why I don't have the best hardware and I don't show certain games on the channel, but I do my best with what I have. But I digress. Basically, Xenoverse 2 was a very online heavy game, and 99% of my experience with it was offline. So a lot of key functions that most people played, I didn't. Also, whenever I did get a chance to play online, it rarely even worked, because again, I don't know if this is the game or where I live, because if you look at most games, there's no African servers. Africa doesn't exist. It's not a real place. But that's enough about ranting about that. So that's enough ranting about that for now. For now, in terms of online, I mainly only got to play the first Xenoverse game, but that's okay, because offline there was a ton of things to do. I talked about the base game, but there are many DLC packs as well, and they add even more content to the game, including story missions, new characters, new customized items, and parallel quests. The game also gets a lot of patches and updates. Again, I wasn't always in a position to do all this, but I did get time to, sometimes I got time to update, and through my limited internet I was able to enjoy some of the fruits of these updates. But the DLC still added a lot of longevity to the game for me, even offline. But at some point I started to play the game less and less and less. I stopped around 2018 or 2019, I'm not too sure. The last DLC pack that I got was the Super Saiyan God Vegeta and Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta pack. That was when Xenoverse really took a backseat. And ever since then I haven't really touched the game that much. I only bust it out when I get visitors or friends coming over. Now all that it is to me now is a party game. So overall, what do I think of the Xenoverse games as a whole? I think every Dragon Ball game, every generation of Dragon Ball games has its defining game. For the PS2, it was Budokai Tenkaichi 3. For the PS3, it was Raging Blast 2. I did a video putting these two games head to head, by the way. You can check it out in the top right corner of the screen. But as for the PS4, and even a good chunk of the PS5, I'd say it was dominated by Xenoverse 2. And this was a massively successful game that was able to take a lot of feedback from the first game and also expand upon it to the absolute furthest degree. This is gonna be remembered as the series that held it down for Dragon Ball gamers throughout the 2010s and the 2020s. And so now that, Budokai Tenkaichi is returning with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Xenoverse 2 is gonna see a bit of a drop. And I want to take this time to recognize it and also to give it its flowers. You can call them greedy and you can call them lazy for milking this game, but you gotta also respect it. They started working on Sparking Zero in like 2018, so Xenoverse was keeping us busy among other games. So before Budokai Tenkaichi returns, I'd like to give thanks and goodbye to Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Thank you for watching. Click another video on screen, like and subscribe. Take care.